everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Fringe Coverage. This podcast profiles the stories, swings, and stars of the LPGA Tour. Whether you're new to women's golf or a longtime fan, hopefully this helps you develop your own rooting interests in women's professional golf. And I am joined once again today by my co-host Tom. Tom, what's going on, buddy?
Marc, how are you? Thanks for having me back.
Thanks for being back, man. How was your weekend of busy kid stuff and trying to watch golf amidst all of it?
Good, but guess what?
What?
I played a round of golf this morning at 6:30.
Oh, wow. Okay. And I
That's
did
my big
not get
reveal.
it.
This podcast is already working. It's already paying dividends.
And
I walked a 72 for the first time in about 20 years.
whoa. Okay, back up. Back up. What course?
Encinitas Ranch.
Okay. You haven't walked a par 72 in 20 years?
Yeah, I think that's the case. At least with carrying clubs, maybe a push cart or something. But I said, you know what? As you know, I'm going to play Chambers Bay next month, so that's a walking only course. So I figured, you know what? Might as well get some steps in before that.
Wow.
I got paired up with three old guys, as is expected. Jim, Bill, and Steve. Shout out to those guys.
What up, guys?
I shot 14 over. Felt very good about that, and just making me more excited for this podcast.
Give me front nine, back nine split.
Plus nine, plus five.
Wow. So even as you walked the back nine, you didn't get gassed, huh?
Put down a protein bar after the 15th.
Perfect.
Gassed up, ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I expect after this podcast to get the traditional voicemail breaking down the hole by hole. But
absolutely.
dude, walking's the best. Like it's obviously such good exercise, but look, there's certain trips. If we're going to a guy's trip out in the desert or something, look, I want carts. But if we're in
Right.
San Diego and I have the opportunity to like walk, I don't know why we'd pass it up.
Yeah, I didn't have my phone out. I was I
Yeah.
felt very present. So
Yeah,
the only time
man.
I would pull my phone out is to put my score down because, of course, I go, oh yeah, I don't have a scorecard. I should have grabbed one, but I'm always so used to it just being ready for me on the cart. So, but
Get
it was
that
nice.
card
I didn't,
out. Don't
yeah,
do
the
it. Don't do
guys
the
were like,
app.
your
Yep.
traditional old men, did you bring your umbrella to the beach? Anytime you hit the ball into the bunker
Oh God.
or working
Oh
hard or
God.
hardly working, all that good stuff. So I
Perfect.
didn't really want to spend too much time with them. So, they would drive ahead and I'd walk by myself and I go, what a beautiful day. I'm having a great time hitting well. My drives were either 280 or 180 and absolutely nothing in between, but I was having a great time anyway. So,
I'm gonna belabor this point a little bit longer because you've done something. You shouted out something you did today that you're not sure you've done in 20 years. You did something today that I have never done in my life, which is play a solo round of golf. As in, I'm the only person in my group that I know.
really?
I've walked onto courses my whole life, but I always had a buddy to do it with growing up when I was, 13, 14, 15 years old. We'd walk on every Saturday morning, but I was with someone and I've always said like sports for me are a very social thing.
Sure.
I'm a very social person, but other than surfing, I never really did something that was just me. Do you recommend it? Do you enjoy it? I'm very curious.
So this was probably about the third time when I would look at a tea time and go, yeah, okay, I could probably make next Thursday work. And I would book a tea time and then go, that's probably not going to work, and I'd cancel it. But yesterday morning at like 8 o'clock, I pulled out my phone and I said, I'm booking a tea time, and now I can't cancel it because it's within 24 hours. So I have to go. And
Okay.
it was fine. I had a very good time. It was enjoyable, nice to relax. Obviously, had I shot, plus 20, I probably would have different feelings than I do now, but it was enjoyable.
Hold on a second. You're worried about thinking how that round goes by yourself if you're shooting plus 20. If you shoot two over, you can bet your butt none of your friends are going to believe that you shot a good round. I mean, it's a double-edged sword of playing around by yourself. Our group of buddies that you and I text with, the moment we hear, oh, Tom happened to play around by himself and Tom happened to shoot two over, I mean, look, whether you shot it or not, we're ruthless and we're never going to give you credit for that round.
This is the second time I've ever played by myself. The first time I played by myself was my best round of golf ever. I shot 11 over at Whistling Straits.
Hmm.
And exactly. And there was nobody with me. the group that I was supposed to play with all caught COVID. So I literally played the entire round by myself. So you obviously gave me grief for that back when that happened a few years ago, as you should, rightly so, because I shot 11 over and nobody was there to witness it. I mean,
But
Mark, if I'm by myself and I, hit my first hole in one or shoot my first eagle, you bet your butt I'm filming Jim and Steve and Bill and say, "Hey guys, I need you to take my phone. I need you to film me running to the hole, picking up my ball, waving it around. I need you to all sign this form that says, I swear Tom got a hole in one."
that's not going to cut it, dude.
Oh
First off,
no.
if you're not filming the swing, like you could have put a ball in there and you could have staged the whole thing. I don't trust Bill and Tim and all the other dudes at all. I mean,
Show
just
Steve and
know
Jim some respect.
if you want Steve and Jim to, if you want this to count, you better have them film every swing of yours the entire round.
Just every par three. Hey guys, can
Yes.
you film
Hey,
this for me?
hey, Tim, you got this one? Hey, you guys can rotate if you want, but I need evidence because I got some ball buster buddies that are not going to
Understandable.
believe this. And they're going to be like, dude, we've seen your swing the first three holes. We can probably stop filming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One guy said, "Hey, your drive's kind of feast or famine, isn't it?" I said, "Cool. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it."
Sheesh, sheesh, Steve. Keep your mouth off my ball, Steve. What's going on? Meanwhile, he's probably, duffing his chips. Okay. Well, I'm glad you walked. I'm glad you got out and played. That's something I have not done in a while, although we are going to go play next week. So I'm sure we'll have plenty of content for next week. But hey, we're at episode 5. We had an really fun golf tournament. Obviously, we went into the week with knowing that a lot of the top 10 were taking a week off. So I think that kind of makes it an up for grabs tournament of who's gonna you kind of get your chance. Hey, Nelly's out, Gino's out. This is kind of your chance to grab one. I will tell you, Portland shows out as a golf city, right? It's just so beautiful. There's so many trees. So like the course looked awesome. But let's start at the top. Akie EY, who is a twin sister, ended up winning the Standard Portland Classic by 4 shots, including a birdie finish that, man, let's just start right there. Like, that's how you finish a golf tournament. So often we find ourselves like, all right, someone's got a 2 shot lead and they bogeyed 17 and now they let someone in and like the drama's there. But there's something about someone who just puts their foot on the throat of the field and just closes it. Akie shot 66 final round again with those 2 finishing hole birdies. Like, tell me what more you want in like a dominant win.
To have your sister there to celebrate it with you when you win. I think that was so cool to watch.
I
I
mean,
mean, you usually, you have a caddy there with you who's equally as excited, but to have a family member there to just like run out, spraying champagne or whatever, just having a great time. That's so fun.
okay, first off, we got to work on these champagne sprays. I've been seeing on the men's and women's tour, like they'll get one good spray and then they just end up have to dumping it on the heads. Like we got to practice our celebrations in advance to make sure that that thing is spraying.
Have you ever
Um,
done it?
I have. But let's just say it wasn't for celebrating anything I did. Um, it is not easy to do, but if you're going to be a professional
Ominous.
golfer, let's be ready for it. But you mentioned her twin sister, so this for a while was the story on Sunday. Again, Akie came in with the lead, and Chisato, her twin sister, was on the leaderboard but wasn't, top of the board. And she started off 1 over through her first 4 holes, and then went 9 under her next 8. She went eagle birdie eagle just to start off this trajectory, and all of a sudden she got within 1 stroke as of about the 13th or 14th hole, and all of a sudden we went, oh dang, like her sister's chasing her down, and like it's fun to see anyone chase her down, but I don't think you could ask for anything better. So again, Chisato's already won once this year. Akie has not. She's throwing darts during the middle of that round, and then Akie just said, "You know what? That was fun. That's cute that you wanted to make a run." And then she just started. She got out of trouble. She had one of the most epic breaks I have ever seen. She started having some chasers came, and she started looking like she was gonna have to play some good golf to hold them off. And I won't say duck hooks, but she hooks a drive and it is going beyond OB, like thick trees everywhere on this golf course. Hits a tree dead center and it kicks it right back out into the rough. I mean, we're looking at OB for sure, and then having to like struggle to save bogey and ends up getting it up and down like it's nothing. It was a huge turning point in the tournament. Then she just turned on the Jets from there. But it was a legit tournament. They become the fourth set of sisters to both win on the LPGA Tour. Again, Chisato and Aki are both rookies. This is their first year, and they've both already won in their first year on tour. We're going to have to dive in on these two in a future episode, Tom, among many other things beyond the obvious, hey, we're twin sisters and we're already cleaning up on tour.
Hmm.
They swap caddies regularly. It's not like they don't each have their own. They both love the guys that are on the bag for them, and depending on the week and depending on what they're looking to get out of their game, they swap. I We have to dive into this further and at some point get them and or their caddies on this show to explain this, but they are here to stay. And they were tearing up the JLPGA before this, so it was just a matter of time before they started making their impression. I'm not sure I saw it coming this fast, but just remember the EY twins, folks. Like they are, I have a feeling at least one of them will be a world number one in the next 3 years. You can take that to the bank, Tom.
That just sparked a question in my head. What percentage of caddies in the LPGA would you say are female?
Sheesh. 40%? And I
According to
base
Google,
that
it's
off
it's
of my,
around 20%.
wow. Wow. Yeah, there's without getting into too much detail, there are some stories out there about the caddy carousel on the LPGA and relationships that happen, relationships that end. And I don't just mean caddy player relationships.
Oh wow.
And then just sharing of people of, hey, I mean, similar to the PGA Tour, if a guy ends up not being on a bag, they pick up another one pretty quickly if they've been on tour for a while. But yeah, the whole caddy world is an entirely different thing for us to dive in on. I think 20%. Huh.
Huh. Well, so it sounds like
Conti
you were able to watch a lot of the coverage.
I did. It was I watched a lot yesterday on Sunday, and I caught a little bit on Friday. Coverage was decent, and I have a take I want to work out with you here. But before we get there, I mentioned last week we had 20 straight tournaments with a new winner. Add another one to that list, man. We have yet
That's
another
so
new
crazy.
winner this year and another. This is the 10th time this year that it's a first time winner, like first time in their career. So we've got some parity in the, which I think is really good for the LPGA, but I think it makes it hard to root when every week it's a different name. If you're just kind of a general fan trying to pick it up, if you're not seeing Nelly Korda and Gino Titakun and some of the other top fives cleaning up, it's hard to find your player. So it's
Right.
kind of a weird. It kind of cuts both ways there on whether parity is good or not for the sport. I think right now they would prefer to have some less parity and start seeing some
Right.
people tear it up on a
Having the
regular basis,
individual dominance.
especially like
It
Nelly last year, right?
Right. So, there are a few other independent sports that I do follow. So, Formula One, there are, the same two or three drivers that win every week. Or even, you look at the tennis tour, you have the dominant people who are winning the majors, who are winning the weekly tournaments. The PGA is kind of the same way, right? There's
Yeah,
there's the handful of really dominant players at the top. Something like this, parity is very cool because you kind of don't really know what to expect, but I'm sure at some point that does hinder the product because people are like, well, I don't know who this person is. I've never heard of this person. It's really cool that she won, but I'm guessing that, having some repeat winners will do the tour some good. And guess
yeah, I
what?
hope so.
My pick this week, repeat winner.
Okay. Well, you know what? It's a nice segue. I noticed how quickly you are trying to jump to this week's picks. And if I was you, I would as well, because our inaugural picks last week, your boy came out on top here. So my Lauren Coughlin pick looked real good, finishing T7. I will say, you had me sweating there. Somi Lee came out and I was with you Thursday night, and they were maybe tied or a stroke apart after round one, and that was the same after round two, and two strokes after round three. So Coughlin and Lee were going back and forth. Somi had a just kind of a meh final round. She didn't blow it.
Right.
She just didn't go low, and that course needs it. And she ended up finished T30. So notch one for me in this continued season long race here. And I'll take all the flowers you're willing to give.
Right. Well, like you said, we saw each other on Thursday, and after work, I go, oh, I was on the ESPN app. I was looking at the baseball standings or something like that, and then I go, oh, let me see how the first round of the LPGA tour went. So I go on there, and it was only the top 15, and I said, oh, was there weather delay? Was the first round suspended? Why are we only at the top 15? And then I open the LPGA app and that has the entire leaderboard and I go, Mark, why is this the case? And you said, "Oh, you wait till Monday." I said, "What do you mean?" You go, "I'll explain all this on Monday." I'm heated. I said, "Okay, let's hear it."
Yeah. All right. For those of you listening, like, get ready for the next rant. Yeah, man, what you just found is not only a very real thing, but one of the reasons it's really hard to follow the LPGA. So you mentioned it. You pull up ESPN right now. If you're going to open up a PGA event, a men's professional golf tournament on ESPN, you go to the score section, you hit PGA Tour, you're going to get a preview of like the top 15, top 20. If you click into it, it will show you the full field. Again, cuts, no cuts. They'll show you everybody where they are. Not only that, within just that one screen, if you can click on an individual name, it will expand Scotty Scheffler's name and will show you his current round and what he shot that day, hole by hole. And it is a very standard feature that you can see on PGA websites, LPGA websites, but third party news agencies like ESPN has it built out. It's very intuitive, very simple. You open an LPGA Tour event scoreboard on ESPN, just like it. And we're throwing shade at ESPN right now because people think about ESPN. At least they're showing something. Like you go to any other sports outlet and good luck. But you open it up on ESPN and you get what you just said. You're going to see the top 15 or 20 names. It will not be expandable. You cannot see beyond the 20. You can't click into it, see the full field. And you can't click on any individual names to see their scorecard for the day. So it's just going to say Lauren Coughlin, 67, and you're going to have no idea whether she got out of the gates hot and faltered down the stretch. Nothing, no context. And that is true. The only time that is not true is on major weeks. So for the 5 majors of the year, which again are the biggest tournaments of the year, ESPN realizes they probably have a larger following. And so that scoreboard is more interactive for those 5 weeks. But the other 40 weeks of the year, we get absolute crap for information. So if you're trying to follow anything and you're going to say, again, you're a general fan, you maybe haven't downloaded the LPGA app, you're going to have to pretty soon because you are not going to find it anywhere. And it's infuriating. And if you even if you find them, even if you go to LPGA website, they still don't have the quality of stats that men do. Now, men use ShotLink. For those of you unfamiliar with ShotLink, this is tracking strokes gained. There's a ton of infrastructure that comes with this ShotLink system that tracks every stat. We're talking about what's the lie, what was the distance, we're talking every stat imaginable. And to have that, there's two cameras on every par four and every par five. They've got people walking with them with each player group. We've got spotters that are set up on fairways and greens to watch how balls are reacting. And they have people, hole sitters, that are stationary at the hole to watch all of this. So there's a ton of infrastructure. And as you can imagine, money that goes into all of this. The PGA pulls out all the stops and it makes you very knowledgeable about your favorite players because you can say, who are the long drivers? You go to the LPGA, not only do they not have ShotLink, but up until 2021, bro, they had some of the worst statistics you could possibly imagine. They were measuring basic things like putts per round, which pretty misleading if let's say you miss every green and you chip it once and you won't, but they're showing that you are leading the tour in putting because you're one putting everything when you're not even hitting a single green in regulation. Same thing with putts per green in regulation. They had the worst stuff. And then in 2021, huge shout out to KPMG. There's now the KPMG Performance Insights. It's where they track the vast majority of their stats. And it's still very much self-reported. So a caddy who walks with the player now has a formatted scorecard from KPMG Performance Insights, and they have to fill out certain things like what was the club they hit on that hole, what was the lie, what was the yardage they had in, and that gets accumulated. The caddies get paid to do this. They get a stipend. They finish a round. They take it back. It gets fed into the system. And then over the course of the year, you start seeing patterns and trends, but it's still self-reported, unlike ShotLink, which is doing everything electronically. But there's just no money and infrastructure pumped into the LPGA. So again, that's why I want to do a huge shout out for KPMG because they're one of the few that are investing directly in the stat side of this. There's tons of great sponsors on the LPGA, but specifically recognizing a hole in stats is something that we need more investment for people to be able to understand the game of golf. It helps the players know what they're hitting, where their weaknesses are. There's some great anecdotes about what Nelly Corda has done with those stats now that they became available. But dude, as two people who are sitting here trying to bring attention to the women's game, it is really hard because other than what we're going to share today, if we told you to go do your homework and look at, if you were going to go look at ESPN, you're going to learn nothing. So it's wildly frustrating, and there's a huge filter down effect of what lack of stats mean. But when you brought that on Thursday night, I just gave you that look like, oh man, you're in it now, man. Welcome to being a fan of the LPGA.
Yeah. I just got flashbacks to episode two. Yeah, so yeah, to your point, I'm looking at the ESPN app right now, and you click on the tournament for this week, and there is, I mean, it's bare bones, right? It says who won last year, and it gives you the dates. And now you look at the Tour Championship for this year for the PGA. You can check out the course stats. It tells you how long each hole is. It shows you all the different ways you can watch it on ESPN Plus. The weather report, so there are plenty more things on the ESPN app for the PGA, and that just could be because they don't have the naming rights, the title rights to this tournament. They're not going to be airing it. So it is a bummer, right? You're trying to watch this, you're trying to get invested, and it's one of those things, right? Like, is it the chicken or the egg? What's the reason why
Right.
we can't have this?
Right.
Because there's not enough money in it, or is there not enough money in it because there aren't viewers to pump the money into it? But it's a poor product, so then nobody wants to. So I mean, really, it's one of those things where someone needs to really take a chance on dumping more money into the LPGA to get a better product so more fans want to watch it, right? I mean, we've talked about this. I think you and I talked about this in person, where now the WNBA is kind of popping off, right?
Yes.
Because people are interested in watching Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese or Sophie Cunningham, and they're big names, and there are big names in golf that people want to watch.
Yeah.
Just need somebody to take a chance on it.
Well, and to that point, the WNBA had started already making some investment in their product. So by the time Caitlin came around, they were able to act on it relatively fast. It's not like, oh, what do we do with a star? We've never had one of those before. I think the LPGA is in a different boat of they've got stars. And again, the international nature of this tour will always be a talking point for us is we're Americans, we're sitting in and this sport is not dominated by Americans. So I think you're already going to have a lack of interest. So to your point of chicken and the egg, we're going to have someone take a risk here on the investment side and say, we're seeing women's sports have their moment. The LPGA is lagging, and we want to be the ones that are going to put them at the forefront. And we understand that we need to ask the LPGA themselves, like they are the experts. What is it you need of storytelling? Where does the money need to go? Because it's not the quality of the golf. And I think for a long time, even as a kid growing up, I think I always thought men played sports better. And that sounds so horrible to say now, but if all I ever saw was the NBA and I didn't watch the WNBA, and there'd be some weak thing of like, they just shoot from three and they don't know, they don't dunk. There's always just some like lame
Right.
excuse that we'd use as 10-year-olds. And these women have such amazing skill sets and stories, and it's no different than the men's game, except the men's game's on TV.
Right. Yeah,
And
don't get me wrong. I mean, I know that Caitlin Clark didn't invent the WNBA. I
yeah,
mean, Asia Wilson or Sabrina Ionescu or Nafisa Collier, or I mean, obviously, Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi
sure.
and Kelsey Plum and all these other really amazing athletes. This is more of just a spotlight on them now. And
Yeah,
if
that's
if
right.
it takes the Trojan horse of Caitlin Clark to bring in the fans, and the more eyes, the better, right? Whatever will bring more viewers to the product, great.
Now, I mentioned I had a take on when I bounced off you. This is probably the right time to do it. I was sitting with my wife watching the golf tournament yesterday, and this probably will come as a very obvious statement to everyone else, but for some reason, it's never been something that registered for me. Unsurprisingly, women's golf tournaments do not have attendance like the men's events. So on course fans. And when you see a men's tournament, especially towards the end of the season, they're lined 3, 4 deep, especially when you start seeing those final holes. And anytime you watch an LPGA event, first of all, they do a very good job of zooming in to not show like the lack of people that are there. It is not hard to get tickets to an LPGA event. It is, and but it shows that there's not a lot of fans there. And what I realized this week was I forgot how much that impacts the viewing experience as a TV viewer because people on site bring an energy and juice that I'm not sure I gave credit to because a women's pro golf, you're never going to unhear this now that I've said it. An LPGA broadcast is so quiet, other than the two voices and the sound of club hitting ball is you hear like the stereotypical golf clap and it no roars. I don't think I realized how much people on the course influence how I view a golf tournament because it just comes off as boring. And thank goodness I follow golf and I can tell a good shot from a bad one. But there's no the feedback from the on-site crowd is certainly not helping that at all. Have you ever thought about that when you've watched or noticed it?
I haven't thought about it, but now I'm thinking, is that better or a worse viewing experience? Because, I don't need some meathead bro yelling "get in the hole" after somebody tees off a ball, right? I mean, that doesn't help the product for me anyway. It doesn't help the viewing experience. The cheering is great,
The
right?
cheering.
Listening to a crowd crescendo as the ball's nearing the hole and
Yes.
then finally makes it and everyone blows up. That's really cool. I enjoy that part. But I
I mean,
assume that would happen if anybody's making a long putt or something like that, or winning a championship or something.
not in the women's game because there's no
No?
people there to do it. Like it's literally a volume game. Like if you anybody watched men's golf this week, Scotty Scheffler chipped in on 17 to
Right.
kind of close the door, and people went bananas. If Akie had a one shot lead on 17 and sank that, you would have heard golf claps, not because people didn't enjoy the shot, but because there was no one there to enjoy the shot. Like that's all of a sudden, it's just like an NBA game where someone hits an outlet pass or a big three, whatever the things that are happening in a moment for a big dunk or someone hitting a home run. Part of that viewing experience is hearing a crowd. It's just the sights and sounds of sports do include fans, and at least for me personally, I realized in the moment, wow, I could see why someone would turn this off really quickly because it's boring. It's beautiful. It's beautiful scenery, certainly in Portland, but it's not must-see TV in terms of the energy that's being brought. So that puts so much onus on the broadcast network and specifically the broadcasters to bring it. Golfers aren't going to be personalities while they're playing. It's not a fast sport. They're walking. It's not like there's dunks and home runs happening. There's slow, methodical approach to a ball. They hit it, and if they stick it to 2 feet, people clap. Like there needs to be something else that tells you how great it is other than the broadcaster. And that lack of feedback for me yesterday was very evident. So now, like I said, I can't unsee it or unhear it in this case. But that is another thing. Back to your chicken and egg thing is we need people on site to see what's going on.
Right.
As all of these things start happening, people are going to get more excited about the sport because it's going to make the product better to watch.
Pop quiz number two. The average PGA ticket costs anywhere between $59 to $99.
Like
What?
an average grounds pass for a
Yes.
PGA event.
Yes. What is the average cost of an LPGA event?
Average cost. If I just wanted to walk up in my local community and go, I mean, I'd be shocked if it's like $25.
40 to 60, depending on the tournament. So, they're probably priced that way so they can entice more people to come in. But now, we just need the
Yeah, it's
blowhorn
almost.
getting people in.
I mean, I guess at a certain point, there's monetarily, you have to have a certain base level ticket price, or otherwise you're just going to get fleeced trying to produce
Sure.
a tournament. Especially because so much of this like goes, there's a charitable component as well. But honestly, this is always the $1 million question. If I told you right now, if the tickets for next week's tournament went from $40 to free, how many more people would actually go?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good
I'm
question.
I'm I'm afraid of that answer right now for the LPGA
Yeah.
because there's not enough attention on the sport. Be like, okay, like if that happened for a PGA event or a basketball or like an NBA game, like they'd have lines out the door. That's why there's so many things that contribute to this. All right, Tom, we have a lot to get to this week. We decided we're going to do 2 episodes. Next episode, we're going to be doing a mailbag, taking questions from the audience. We've had a lot of great feedback over the last week or two and want to make sure we get to some of those questions about the LPGA Tour and its structure. We've also got a couple other games to play, and we still need to preview this week's tournament. Tune in later this week for another episode. Tom, anything else you wanna jump on today before we close it?
You can send your emails to fringecoverage@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at fringecoveragepod. And I believe Mark is now on Twitter. We finally got Mark on Twitter /X. And he
Yeah.
is so excited about it, easily duped. I got a text from him saying, Tom, Brooke Henderson just followed us on Twitter. And I said, what? No, Mark. And then I looked at it and it was clearly a bot. and it was just somebody who was just taking the real Brooke Henderson's posts and just, reposting it as their own. And then Mark said, I hate Twitter. I
I got
officially am done
got.
with this.
I got. There's no excuses here. I got excited. I know nothing about X. I downloaded it so we could get a profile. I haven't even done anything with it yet, and I'm already getting duped a
But you can
day in.
follow us
So
at Fringe Coverage X. Is that correct?
sure, that sounds great.
Okay. And Mark, since you handled the intros, I said, I need a nice, snappy outro. So I
Oh,
was going to pitch things to you, and I want, you say like, yes, no, sign off, no, you like it,
okay. So
whatever.
we
So
doing one today? Are you doing your first one today, or are you giving me a lot right now?
I'll give you one right now. Tell me if you like it or not, okay?
Okay.
It just goes, hey, Mark, let's book a tea time. Yes or no?
Okay. We'll workshop that. We're doing great. I think it can be better because I know you're more creative than that.
This is Tom signing my scorecard and signing off.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the last 30 seconds of this. We're going to be better next episode. We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.